Becoming a lawyer in Ukraine, well, it's not just about acing an exam. It is a really demanding journey, one that's shaped by some super strict principles and a lifelong commitment to the law. So today, we're going to walk through every single step of that path, from the foundational rules all the way to the constant learning it takes just to stay on the game.
So let's get right to it. What does it really take to stand up and represent a client in a Ukrainian courtroom? I can tell you, it goes way beyond just a university degree. It's this whole multi-stage process, and it's all built on a foundation of ethical pillars that, frankly, are non-negotiable.
And everything starts right here, with understanding the fundamental role of a lawyer. You know, before you even crack open the first law book, an aspiring lawyer in Ukraine has to fully commit to a set of core principles. These really are the bedrock of justice in the country.
And listen, these aren't just some nice suggestions. They are the 6 unbreakable pillars of the entire profession. Just think about it for a second. Upholding the rule of law, making sure everything is legal, being completely independent, and keeping absolute client confidentiality. These aren't just guidelines. They are the hard and fast rules that have to guide every single decision a lawyer makes. Okay, so you've bought into the principles. You're committed. What happens next? Well, this is where the really tough journey to the bar actually begins. Let's break down the concrete steps you have to take to earn that right to practice law.
So here it is, the roadmap. And don't let this simple-looking list fool you, because each one of these 6 steps is a huge hurdle. Yeah, it starts with a full legal education, but then you have to get out there and prove yourself with real-world work experience. Then you have to pass a grueling exam, complete an internship, and only then, after all of that, can you finally take the oath and get your certificate. It's a years-long gauntlet, really, designed to forge only the most capable professionals.
Let's just pause on this number for a second. 2. That's 2 full years of hands-on, real-world legal experience that you need before you can even think about sitting for the qualifying exam. And that sends a super clear message, right? In Ukraine, just knowing the books isn't enough. The system demands that lawyers are practical, hands-on professionals from the get-go.
So, you did it. You made it through all 6 steps, you've got your certificate in hand. First of all, congratulations. But now, how do you actually practice law? Well, you've got some choices to make. There are basically 3 main ways to go. You can practice individually, as a solo practitioner, or if you want a bit more formal structure, you can set up what's called a law bureau, which is basically a registered legal business for just one lawyer. And then there's the collaborative approach. You can team up with colleagues and form a law association. Each path totally changes how you operate, from your autonomy to how you share resources.
Now, this is where the structure of the legal profession gets really, really interesting. You might think the government is in charge of regulating lawyers, but in Ukraine? Nope, that's not how it works. The entire profession governs itself. It's this complex internal system of checks and balances.
So why have this system of self-governance? What's the point? Well, it's designed to do a few crucial things. Guarantee that lawyers stay independent from outside influence, protect the rights of lawyers themselves, and, importantly, handle all disciplinary issues internally. When you boil it down, it's a system where lawyers hold other lawyers accountable to the absolute highest standards.
Okay, I know this chart looks a little complicated, but the idea behind it is actually pretty simple. It's a democracy that starts from the bottom up. Just follow the arrows with me. See, down at the very bottom, you have every individual lawyer in Ukraine. They're the foundation. They elect representatives who go on to these regional bodies. That's that middle tier. Then, those regional bodies elect the leaders for the national councils and commissions you see at the top. So the power flows from the individual lawyers all the way up, making sure the profession's leadership is chosen by its own members.
But believe me, earning that certificate to practice law is not the end of the road. Not even close. In Ukraine, it's really just the beginning of a career that's defined by mandatory, continuous, lifelong learning.
The system puts a special kind of focus on those who've just joined the ranks. The first 3 years are seen as this absolutely critical time of intensive professional growth, and there are some pretty specific requirements to make sure that happens. So what does intensive development actually mean? It means new lawyers have to complete a minimum of 48 hours of advanced training within their first 3 years of practice. And this isn't optional, it's a mandatory part of the process to make sure they're rapidly building on what they already know and getting up to speed with the real demands of the job.
And what about after those first 3 years? Does it stop? Nope. The commitment to keep getting better, to keep learning, it extends to every single practicing lawyer every single year for their entire career.
For all the established lawyers out there, the number to remember is 10.
That's a minimum of 10 hours of professional development every single year. It's required to maintain their qualification and, of course, to stay current in the constantly changing world of law. But it's not just any 10 hours of training. Within that annual requirement, the system has a very specific focus, and it brings us right back, full circle, to those core principles we talked about at the very beginning. That's right, at least 2 of those 10 hours every single year must be dedicated specifically to the rules of lawyer ethics and professional standards. This just constantly reinforces that ethical foundation and makes sure those core principles are always front and center in a lawyer's mind.
So, there you have it. We've seen the incredibly rigorous path to entry, the unique self-governing structure, and the absolute commitment to lifelong learning. It's a system that's been meticulously designed to create and uphold the highest professional standards. Which, of course, leaves us with one final big question. In a world that's changing so fast, what are the modern challenges that lawyers in Ukraine have to face and navigate within this very framework?